Have you ever wondered why the number of disasters worldwide seems to be on the rise? It's a question that's been circulating in the collective consciousness for some time now. Over the past few decades, we've seen a significant increase in global disasters, and it's hard not to notice the pattern. Imagine a world map dotted with markers indicating the occurrence of various disasters. Each year, you'd see more and more of these markers appearing, painting a vivid picture of a planet under siege. From the coastal regions battered by hurricanes to the forested landscapes consumed by wildfires, from the urban areas submerged in floods to the agricultural lands ravaged by droughts, the scope and frequency of these disasters have been escalating. Now, let's delve a bit deeper into the types of disasters that have become disturbingly more frequent. First off, hurricanes. These monstrous storms have been wreaking havoc with increasing regularity. They form over warm ocean waters and are fueled by the heat and moisture. The rising global temperatures mean that these conditions are becoming more common, leading to stronger and more frequent hurricanes. Moving on to wildfires, these ferocious forces of nature are becoming an all-too-familiar sight, especially in regions like California and Australia. The escalation in wildfires can be linked to hotter and drier conditions, another byproduct of the rising global temperatures. Floods too are becoming a more frequent menace. With heavier rainfall and rising sea levels, floods are submerging more and more areas, displacing countless people and causing extensive damage. And let's not forget about droughts. Prolonged periods of abnormally low rainfall have been leading to severe water shortages, affecting both people and the environment. Once again, this can be traced back to changing climatic conditions. So, as we can see, the rising tide of global disasters is not just a figment of our imagination, it's a tangible, measurable phenomenon that's impacting lives and landscapes across the globe. The question then arises, are we just victims of bad luck, or are there deeper causes behind this alarming trend? One of the main factors contributing to the rise in global disasters is climate change. It's a term we hear often, but what does it really mean for our planet? At its core, climate change is caused by a long-term shift in global or regional climate patterns. This shift is largely propelled by an increase in levels of atmospheric carbon dioxide produced by the use of fossil fuels. The result is a worldwide increase in temperatures, a phenomenon known as global warming. Now, you might be wondering, how does a warmer planet lead to more disasters? Well, as our planet heats up, it fuels more extreme weather events. For instance, higher temperatures cause more water to evaporate from the surface of the Earth. This additional moisture in the atmosphere can lead to heavier rainfall and more intense storms, which in turn can lead to flooding, landslides, and other devastating events. Moreover, global warming also has a significant impact on our oceans. As the planet warms, so do the seas. Warmer water leads to sea level rise by expanding the volume of water. But that's not all. Warmer waters also intensify the power of storms, especially hurricanes. When a storm passes over warm water, it absorbs heat energy from the water, fueling its growth and increasing its destructive potential. But these weather-related disasters are just the tip of the iceberg. Climate change also contributes to less obvious but equally destructive events. For instance, prolonged periods of high temperature can lead to droughts. These droughts can cause wildfires, crop failures, and water shortages, each a disaster in its own right. And let's not forget the impact on biodiversity. As habitats change or disappear due to shifting climates, species are forced to migrate, leading to imbalances in local ecosystems. This can trigger a cascade of events with far-reaching, disastrous consequences. Climate change is not just about the weather getting warmer, it's about our world becoming more volatile and unpredictable. As our climate continues to change, we can expect the number and severity of disasters to increase. The future of our planet hangs in the balance, and every degree of warming matters. Another contributing factor to the increase in disasters is urbanization. Now, urbanization is a complex issue. It's a sign of progress, a symbol of humanity's continuous quest for better living conditions, greater opportunities, and advanced infrastructures. It's the vibrant pulse of civilization, the heart of economic growth. But, like a double-edged sword, urbanization is not without its drawbacks. As cities expand, they often do so at the expense of natural landscapes. Green spaces are replaced with concrete jungles, forests are cleared to make way for high-rise buildings, and rivers are rerouted to accommodate sprawling urban layouts. This incursion into the natural environment disrupts ecosystems, diminishing their capacity to absorb the impacts of natural disasters. Increasing population density in urban areas also contributes to the problem. When more people are clustered in a smaller area, the potential for disaster-related casualties increases. In the blink of an eye, a single disaster can affect thousands, if not millions of people. Moreover, urbanization often exacerbates the severity of certain disasters, particularly flooding. Picture a city during a heavy downpour. The concrete and asphalt, unlike soil, do not absorb water. Instead, they channel it into streets and drains, causing water levels to rise rapidly. As a result, urban areas can quickly become submerged, causing widespread damage and loss of life. In many parts of the world, urbanization is also associated with substandard housing and infrastructure. These poorly constructed buildings are more susceptible to damage during disasters, putting lives at risk. It's like building a house of cards in the path of a gust of wind. It's a disaster waiting to happen. Urbanization, while a sign of progress, also amplifies the impact of disasters. It's a sobering reminder that our relentless pursuit of progress must be balanced with respect for nature and mindful planning. Only then can we hope to mitigate the risks associated with the rising tide of global disasters. We're not just building cities here, we're building the future. And it's a future where we must learn to live in harmony with the world around us. So let's start building it wisely. Lastly, we cannot overlook the role of deforestation in escalating the number of global disasters. Deforestation, often referred to as the silent destroyer, has a far more significant impact on our planet than many of us realize. It's not merely an act of chopping down trees, it's a destructive force that disrupts delicate ecosystems and triggers a chain of disastrous events. Let's consider landslides, for instance. Forests serve as a natural barrier against these destructive occurrences. Tree roots bind the soil together, creating a robust and stable hillside. When we remove these trees, the soil loses its anchor, making it susceptible to landslides when heavy rains come pouring down. The aftermath is not just a scarred landscape, but often the loss of homes and lives. And then there's flooding. Forests play a crucial role in managing water flow, absorbing rainfall, and gradually releasing it into rivers and streams. Without trees, the rainwater rushes directly into water bodies, causing a sudden surge in water levels. The result? Devastating floods that wipe out entire communities and displace thousands of people. Wildfires too have a direct link to deforestation. When we cut down trees and leave behind dried-out vegetation, we're essentially setting the stage for a fire to break out. The dried-out vegetation acts as fuel, enabling a small flame to quickly transform into a raging wildfire. But perhaps the most devastating impact of deforestation is its contribution to climate change. Forests are like the lungs of our planet, absorbing carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. When we destroy forests, we're not only losing this vital carbon sink, but also releasing stored carbon back into the atmosphere, exacerbating global warming. We're living in an intricately interconnected world. The trees we cut down in one part of the globe can trigger a landslide, a flood, or a wildfire in another. And when we lose forests, we're not just losing trees, we're losing an essential ally in our fight against climate change. When we cut down forests, we're not just losing trees, we're destabilizing our planet. In conclusion, the increase in global disasters is not a matter of chance. It's a chilling testament to the changes we, as a global community, have imposed upon our planet. The factors we've explored today, climate change, urbanization, and deforestation, are not isolated issues. They're interconnected, each amplifying the effects of the other, weaving a complex tapestry of cause and effect that's shaping the world we live in. Climate change, the potent catalyst, is accelerating at an alarming pace. Rising temperatures and shifting weather patterns are triggering more frequent and severe disasters. From searing heat waves to devastating hurricanes, the impacts of climate change are far-reaching, affecting every corner of our planet. Urbanization, the double-edged sword, brings with it both progress and peril. As cities grow and expand, they encroach upon natural lands, disrupting ecosystems, and making us more vulnerable to disasters. This unchecked urban sprawl intensifies the impacts of floods, landslides, and other disasters, affecting millions of people worldwide. Deforestation, the silent destroyer, is stripping our planet of its green cover, disrupting biodiversity, and exacerbating climate change. Forests are our planet's lungs, absorbing carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. Their loss not only accelerates global warming, but also increases the risk of landslides and floods. These factors, climate change, urbanization, and deforestation, are all pieces of the same puzzle. They're interconnected, each feeding into the other, intensifying the frequency and severity of global disasters. But while the situation may seem dire, it's not hopeless. Understanding these causes is the first step to mitigating their impacts. We must not just adapt, but act. Each one of us has a role to play in this global effort. Whether it's reducing our carbon footprint, advocating for sustainable urban development, or supporting reforestation efforts, our actions can make a difference. Together, we can turn the tide, we can mitigate the impacts of these disasters, and safeguard our future. The choice is ours. We must not just adapt, but act to safeguard our future.